rock and roll, punk, prog, hardcore, thrash, and heavy metal community. My name is Jason Evans, and this is the Great Metal Standoff, the podcast that pits music's greatest albums in track-by-track combat. And welcome to the first three-way battle here on the Standoff, where I and the rest of the Mosh Pit team are going to gush over and celebrate the pinnacle of the grunge era. Alice in Chains' Dirt will be going up against Pearl Jam's 10, which also will be squaring off against Nirvana's Nevermind. This is probably the most exciting podcast we've made to date, but also the most nerve-wracking at the same time. I was almost convinced in the Dio podcast that it would not be surprising in the slightest if that battle had ended in a draw. And I have the exact same stance going into this one, because how in the hell are you supposed to pick between these three albums? They defined an era. On the flip side, the excitement is palpable. I keep a list of all the albums I'd like to put up against each other here on the Great Metal Standoff, and when anyone sees the list, they immediately gravitate to the grunge albums. So it's given me an idea. At the time of recording, we are in the month of August. So, for the entire month, each and every Great Metal Standoff throughout the month of August will feature a grunge album battle. Grunge month, if you will. And with that, Dirt versus 10 versus Nevermind. That is one hell of a way to kick things off. So without further ado, here are the rules to this battle. Rule number 1. Every album battle will be contested in track-by-track format by our podcast panel. Each individual panelist will select a winner of each pairing. In this case, tri-pairing, or whatever the triplet. I've lost the word association. But the winning track will receive a point to that individual's tally score. Tracks on albums that go uncontested can receive a tally point if a panelist awards it a gold star. Once the battle is over, the album with the highest tally score will receive 1 grand point for that album. If a panelist's tally score results in a draw, both albums will receive a half grand point each, and the album with the most grand points will be declared the winner. Okay, I've summoned in the Mosh Pit team to help me out decide on a winner. Begrudgingly, we really don't know which album's going to come out on top. But let's meet up with them, Imran, Salome, and Jacob, the rest of the Mosh Pit team, and let's somehow decide on a winner. Let's begin. Roll the audio. And so it begins, team.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Lordio Dio me.
This is a tough one, isn't it?
I hear you're all begrudging. You're excited, but at the same time, you're very nervous. What's the ratio?
Or is that begrunging?
Thank you, Salome, for the pun game. Jacob and Imran, excited or nervous? What's the ratio?
Look, I am very honoured that I'm on this podcast with you, but holy smokes. Like
I feel like whatever I do, whatever I answer with, I'm going to both lose friends and gain new ones here. So it's win-win-win-loss.
You should just put out right now, I love all of these albums equally. So any vote I pick is out of pure love. I don't hate any of these songs. This is the toughest to see. This is like picking favorite children. It's.
It is a good preface to Imran. I agree with you. It is a good preface to start with. All three of these are fantastic.
There will be no loser. It will just be a different varying levels of winners because
yes,
none of them deserve to lose.
The way I describe it is this: if we had to rank. For example, if we used a scale out of 10, if all three of these ranked 9 out of 10, it's just determining which one is the 9.1 and which one is the 9.9.
Very fair scale.
Yeah.
I like this system.
That's fair scale.
Do you like that? That's probably the best way I can really put it.
That makes me feel a little bit better.
I'm glad. I'm glad I can help you out with that. As you read as you probably did read the title of this podcast, it's Alice in Chains' Dirt versus Pearl Jam's 10 versus Nirvana's Nevermind, the 3 of the 4 pillars in grunge. I was, Imran, I know you're a massive Soundgarden fan, and I would like to have made it a 4-way and add a Soundgarden album, but one, that would be really logistically too difficult, and two, I'm not sure which one would have gone well with it.
It's understandable. I would have picked Super Unknown,
Okay.
but I understand logistically that's like 3-way already. That's just
Yes. It's a lot of
messing with
music
my
to
head already.
analyze, mate.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
But luckily, this is, as we said at the top of the show, Grunge Month here at Mosh Pit on Sin and the Great Metal Standoff. So Soundgarden, they will be featured later this month. Who will they be up against? We'll tell you in the near future. In the meantime, we've got a massive 3-way to begin. So what do these 3 albums mean to you guys over at the Mosh Pit team?
Oh, you don't even understand. My entire year last year was just blasting these 3 albums while driving down a freeway, just screaming out, just with my friends in the car. Just, it was sunny days, you know, it's just good memories, just screaming at the top of our lungs to these songs. Oh, just these 3 albums are just amazing.
Are they all equally in the stereo system, or is there one more than the other?
Oh yeah, they were about equally, including Soundgarden, of course. Just
Yep.
you know, but these 3, like, they're just the big ones. And I even got one of my friends and my bandmate, actually, I got her into Alice in Chains, and we used to just blast that all the time, and she loved him to the point where we ended up covering Wood at one of our gigs.
Yeah, you're in a band, you say.
Yeah.
Would you be a
I
dear
am.
and tell us about it?
Oh, okay. I'm in a band called Flood. We're a bit we're not doing anything at the moment because of lockdown, and we can't really get together. But once this lockdown's over, we're coming for you. We're just mostly metal, yeah, kind of.
Just now. You enter the Flood
Yeah.
again. It's not the same as it was back then. Salme, you are the veteran wise woman of this group here on the Great Metal Standoff, and especially in this podcast. And since you're the wise woman with wisdom, what do these albums mean to you? Because you came around just when this period was dying out.
Thank you for a reminder of my age, I suppose. Yeah, I was born in 1994, obviously a huge year for grunge, but sadly, kind of the beginning of the end, really. We lost Kurt Cobain, and that, you know, it kind of all came to a halt in that era. And then it started to, you know, music started to go into that more alt-rock punk route. We discussed this in depth on a previous Great Metal Standoff about 2 albums from 1994, which were Green Day's Dookie and Weezer's Blue Album. So it's really cool after my last podcast that I featured on with yourself and with Jacob to kind of go back to the other side of the line. They're 3 albums I grew up listening to a lot. My parents were pretty much into all 3 of them fairly well. I think I would hazard a guess that I listened to Nevermind more as a kid. My dad is definitely a huge Alice in Chains fan, and one of my uncles is an enormous Pearl Jam fan. So I've definitely grown up around these albums a lot, and it's going to be really, really difficult to separate them. I'm looking forward to it, but not looking forward to it at the same time. Load up on guns and bring your friends.
Puns all around today, huh?
Jacob?
Oh, look, I mean, I think I've said it before. I got back into music maybe 10 years ago, and these were the ones that I somehow found my way back to continually, and songs that I guess drew me back because I'd heard them in the past, and I remember liking them a lot and a lot and a lot. And they really inspired and made most of the music that the 2000s were built off, and inspired a lot of that. So any sound coming from that is all these guys, and you know, going back to them, these are the king of these sounds. These are the king of grunge. For myself, I think I probably sit more on the Pearl Jam side of it.
Okay.
But they're all amazing.
Yes. I think I personally am alongside Salome where my leaning is towards Nevermind just because I didn't start listening to Alice in Chains and Pearl Jam much more recently, where Nirvana has been more deep rooted. And that's where my leanings are. But once again, all 3 of these albums are incredible that I've been torn various times throughout the process of this, the making of this battle. And it can really go either way. It can really go either way. But just before we get into the main portion of this battle and we're going to start dissecting track by track, as painful as it's going to be, I have a question for you guys. Why do we call this era grunge? Because the more I started listening to this stuff, but Dirt versus 10 versus Nevermind, why isn't it that we're doing a three-way battle between a metal band, a rock band, and a punk band?
I had that question a while ago as well. I had a thought about, because these three bands their sounds are very distinct and they don't sound anything like each other. I think it was the fact that it came from, I think it was the scene. It came from Seattle, like early 90s. Like all of those bands that came from the scene of like early, like rock.
The late 80s,
from
early
Seattle
90s.
specifically. Yeah.
I have to agree. 80s, we had a lot of like hair metal. Late 90s, early 2000s was kind of getting into that skate punk kind of era. It was just wedged in the middle. And while I totally agree with your sentiment that the three bands sound nothing alike, in some ways they do sound so alike at the same time. It's this weird little, they've all got that gritty, dirty, sludgy kind of sound, probably from, all that Seattle influence. They're completely different, but they're completely alike at the same time. It's this bizarre little genre that didn't really live beyond that 5 or so year period. And it's,
I have to
Like a
agree with
matter
you.
of association from the area.
I
Jacob.
think it's a mixture of that and I guess the fact that every band that did it had some sort of inspiration from another form of music, classical rock, heavier rock, all sorts, and they all kind of mixed into a punkier sound. They don't exactly fall in that, as you guys said, but I think it's also that mixture that no one really knew how to define.
So subtle,
such a cool word, grunge.
Yeah. So subtle similarities, but with these stark differences just because of the location they were from in the certain time period is why we gave them a completely different identity.
Yeah.
I think so.
I think it's a nod to how influential all three of these bands, plus, your Soundgardens, and then even in Australia when Silverchair first started, they had that sound also. I think it's just a nod to how influential that sound was, that it couldn't fall under something else. It had to have its own name.
Okay. Well, righto. Let's not delay anything any longer. I can see the grimaces coming on all of our Mosh Pit team's faces.
I'm so scared.
I'm speaking and waffling on so long because I'm delaying the inevitable too. And that is we have to gesture over to our timekeeper who is laughing maniacally at me. Why?
I'm waving my fist at him.
Yeah. Why?
Well, I guess in the spirit of the coronavirus lockdown, we're all in this together.
And when we do this, there's no going back. Ring the bell.
Yep.
I resent you very much, timekeeper. But luckily, I'm not too fussed by this first one because I already knew my answer. Them Bones for Dirt, Once for 10, Smells Like Teen Spirit for Nirvana's Nevermind. It wasn't too hard for me. What about you guys?
The thing with these three songs is that these three songs are the perfect openers to each of their respective albums.
Very much so.
I think this one is one of the most difficult ones for me. What about you guys?
I think the difficulty for me comes in choosing what comes second. I feel like first is very much one-sided, unfortunately, but second is one hell of a little choice.
Oh, do we have to put them in order?
No.
No.
You just pick a winner.
Goodness.
Jacob's just got a different...
I thought there was a little, twist thrown in there. I'm like, oh, good God. This is
I think Jacob's just got a much more different way of analysing this stuff, or a different process, I'd say, Jacob, right?
Kinda, yeah.
So Jacob's process is to ranking them in order in his head. Imran's saying it's the most difficult, arguably. For Jason, it's been very easy, and I'm on a completely somewhat the same, somewhat different road in that it's a really hard battle, but I have managed to revert it back to a 2-horse race for number 1.
Okay, so speaking entirely from process of elimination, which one did you get rid of?
I was able to ditch Once, again, not because I don't like it, not because I don't think it's a great opener. I love the Once Upon a Time lyric. It's like starting a storybook that is 10. But for me, personally, it was just overshadowed by 2 absolutely belting tracks. How did everyone else go?
Smells Like Teen
Interesting.
Spirit all the way.
Yeah, I'm with Jason there. It Smells Like Teen Spirit has to be the winner here. There's a reason it's as iconic as it is.
Yeah.
But I think I'm a little interested in the fact that you chose Once to get rid of, because I think Once does a little better than Them Bones. Just, I don't know, something about it catches me. The way the lyrics are set up, the Once Upon a Time, having it be different beat is super impressive to me. That almost opening, Once Upon a Time, it is a storybook opening for the album, and it just catches me completely.
Eddie Vedder, not a lyricist. He's a narrator.
Certainly. So
it's a god amongst men.
well, that first that iconic was actually improvised, which I found really interesting because it's so perfectly placed.
The very first time I ever listened to that. Yeah, the very first time I ever listened to that actually scared the hell out of me.
Did it?
Did you
I left
also
my body
say,
for a second. I don't know.
When you heard
Almost. I remember the first time I still remember the very first time I listened to that. I had it recommended to me by a friend, and I was like, hell yeah! I had these big headphones at the time that were like HD, full quality. They're not around unfortunately anymore, but they were great at the time. And I'm like, hell yeah! I put it up on full blast. I'm like, this is rock and roll. It's gonna be sick. First second, I chuck on Them Bones, and I left my body for like 3. I think I had a small stroke. I don't know, but that is like one of the I think instinctively I'm leaning towards Them Bones purely because it is one of the most powerful, shocking first tracks that just sets the tone for the entire Dirt record. And
seriously, Them Bones.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, I don't know. It's one of the coolest tracks. It's got such a killer riff. It's in like an odd time signature. Like everything about it is just really interesting. It's like I don't know, and like the harmonies in the verse, like the way that Alice in Chains especially uses double tracking vocals is very interesting to me because he kind of varies it a lot and does different harmonies, and it's so interesting. I think I'm gonna have to go with Them Bones for this one because it's just I think it's the most interesting song out of all of them. Not to discredit Smells Like Teen Spirit and Once, but I think it's Them Bones.
Imran, as we go along, I'd love to hear what makes those double tracking vocals so great because I get a bit of a music education here on the Great Metal Standoff. So as we go along, if you could explain that as we go along, that'd be fantastic.
Of course.
But yes.
Right. So the time has come, has it? I have to make my decision. Well, I thoroughly agree with all of Imran's points about Them Bones. It's like from that first that riff, it's such a perfect album opener. It's aggressive. It encapsulates Alice in Chains sound, the heavy metal influences, Lane Staley and Jerry Contrail having both played in metal bands prior to Alice in Chains. But similarly with yourself, Jason and Jacob, you just can't overlook Smells Like Teen Spirit's, cultural impact on grunge. When you ask someone from a casual grunge listener to, someone obsessed by grunge like the four of us, generally the first song that comes to mind will be Smells Like Teen Spirit. It's the unofficial anthem of that era for Generation X. It's made the Rock Hall of Fame's list of songs that shaped rock at number 80. It's been on the Songs of the Century. It was voted in the hottest 100 of all time at number 1, edging out Killing in the Name, which is another absolute belter of a song.
Wow, really?
So, yeah. While it was a very tough battle.
It's such a killer song. Smells Like Teen Spirit.
It's a song that defined a generation, really.
Yeah,
so.
That's a song I cannot listen to that quietly. That's a song I can only listen to loud.
Mm.
Nice. At the same time, I know I gave my point to Smells Like Teen Spirit, and I'm decided I'm going to piss off a few Nirvana fans out here. I don't really care what you think. It's their best song. I know that's not a popular thing to say amongst
that is the hottest take of all time.
Not. There are songs I listen to more frequently than Smells Like Teen Spirit, but just thinking of impact, thinking of just by the song in general, that riff alone. And Dave Grohl, the ba-dum, into the.
That wasn't Dave Grohl that played that on the studio.
On Teen Spirit. Was that Chad Channing thing?
That was a Chad Channing.
Was it?
Well, it's interesting. There were lots of drummers on Nevermind. Butch Vig, the producer, also did a lot of the drums on Nevermind, which Dave Grohl has later repaid the favor on Butch Vig's band's Garbage's albums by drumming.
Yeah,
So they
he did.
have a very close relationship through their drumming.
Yeah.
Fun.
I believe In Utero is the only album where Dave Grohl actually plays throughout the entire album.
Well, isn't that interesting? Okay, so I'm gonna take the wild guess and say that everyone bit Imran. It's 1-0. Nevermind.
Yeah.
Yes.
Uh-oh.
Scary.
But not to discredit once, phenomenal track. Eddie Vedder's an incredible narrator, and it really just sets the tone. It is one of the perfect tone setters. Next
I think
up,
that
Can I add,
sorry.
before we finish,
Yeah.
I would probably vote Then Bones against, any other song. It is probably my favorite Alice in Chains song, but yeah.
okay,
Sorry, fam. You came up against an icon.
no problemo. Damn That River versus Even Flow versus In Bloom.
I hate this one.
Oh,
I hate this one.
God.
Jacob, do
horrible.
you hate this one? Explain your thinking.
Okay, so Even Flow is one of my favorite songs of all time, and In Bloom is my favorite Nirvana song of all time. And Damn That River is maybe my favorite Off Dirt. So these are just some of the best songs on these albums in order. I think for myself, just because I'm a Pearl Jam nerd for it, Even Flow has me. But it's hard to look past Damn That River. I love the opening, and I love how the vocals are done in that. I honestly think Damn That River should have opened for Dirt. But In Bloom, it's just, the bass is amazing. The verses, I think, carry the song. I think they're better than the chorus, but the chorus itself is also perfect. So it's very
but
hard.
also probably one of the greatest troll jobs of all time here.
Yeah.
It's very, very cheeky.
Calling out newbies like us. I'm pretty sure now that I've said Smells Like Teen Spirit is technically their best song, just from a pure, I guess, impact stance. I'm pretty sure In Bloom is directed at me. Or at least the chorus.
Oh, Kurt got you
Hey,
good.
at least you got a Nirvana song directed at you. Like, that's an honor.
Yeah, that's pretty special.
I'd take it.
I'll preface though, there are still incredible tracks off Bleach, off In Utero that I listen to more frequently than this. I think it's the overplayed nature of, maybe even In Bloom too, is why it's probably not a song that I seek out so frequently. But you can't judge it. You can't deny its impact.
I think In Bloom, even though this is a podcast and it's audio, we do need to mention it has a really, really great music video. I love the parodies of the early 60s variety shows. It is hilarious.
As one of my favorite Nirvana video clips is In Bloom.
Definitely.
This one, like instinctively, I kind of go to Alice in Chains again because of just the sheer power and aggression. I kind of draw towards that more. But I haven't made my decision yet. Because holy crap, what a song, Even Flow. That is one of the grooviest songs I've ever heard in my life. Such a killer riff, killer lyrics, to me that's like Eddie Vedder rapping. It's so cool. The chorus is catchy, 6 solos. It's just that's like top tier song right there, S tier. And then In Bloom, you add that to the mix, and I'm in a dizzying proportion of mind heckery right now. I don't the drums at the start of In Bloom kind of make that song for me. Just like that part just gets me so hype every time. I love the guitar solo in it because the guitar solo is so different to what Kurt normally does, is where for a guitar solo, he normally just plays the melody or just something really simple. But this one, it feels like he kind of just lets loose and goes nuts. And
it's almost more like something you'd hear on Incesticide, where he's got some wacky sounding guitars. But it's still so perfectly placed on Nevermind at the same time. It still belongs there, but it's it could also fit very well on Incesticide at the same time.
Yeah. I think I will try to sway you, Imran, a little bit closer to Even Flow, just because how can you look past the little like riffs and little just bits of solo? I want to say solo that are just everywhere throughout the verses. They don't scream at you immediately, but when you look for them, they catch you, and they are some of the most amazing little just add-ons that I think it outdoes In Bloom in that regard. I think the little bits of fun and solo spread between, even the solos themselves in both songs, I think in Bloom, as much as it's great, doesn't exactly catch even flow there.
Do you want me to help you support that argument there, Jacob?
Go ahead.
Did you? I'm not. Once again, Salme, or anyone else here can help fact check us with this. But Mike McCready, I think, has once stated that he was trying. It's very Stevie Ray Vaughan influenced, that solo.
Ooh,
I have
Ooh,
read that.
yes.
Okay.
I'm a big fan of Stevie Ray Vaughan.
I think I also will point this out as well. That song, according to the band members, was one of the hardest to record. They say that it took up to 75 to 100 attempts to capture it properly because of how much is going on, but how deceptively simple it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Wow.
I think it was between 50 and 70 times, and now, like you said, up to 75. There's rumors circulating everywhere about how long it took, just because they had such a vision for it, and there's so much going on. And listening to it, you can hear why. There's so much weaved in there that the thought of recording and then producing it is, quite frankly, terrifying. Like, hats off that they finally got it, because it's just a complete banger.
All right.
I
What
think
a song.
And one last bit, because we do talk about Eddie Vedder being a narrator. I think this song, the lyrics catch me again because it's about Eddie Vedder has stated that it's his experience while being homeless and how that went for him. So I think that was captured really well in this song, because you don't notice it at first, but when you pay attention to the lyrics, you notice it and you get a new respect for it.
So, in conclusion, we have a cruncher in Damn That River, a groover in Even Flow, and then a smack in the face within Bloom. I don't know about you guys. Jacob, you've definitively gone with the groover.
Yeah, In Bloom wins for me.
I took the smack in the face.
Not In Bloom, Even Flow.
Yeah, Even Flow. I took the smack in the face in Bloom. So we've got two more decisions to make here.
Okay.
I don't think I can look past Damn That River. The riff at the start of that song is just too killer for me. And I think that verse and the vocal delivery in the verses and the choruses of that song is so powerful. I think it's one of Lane Staley's greatest, like, if not the greatest, not lyrical, vocal work ever.
Right.
That song punches like every single time, no matter, like, even if you're listening to that on a really terrible stereo, like one, you can still feel the power coming through Lane Staley's vocals in that song. He uses the double track harmonies in that as well. He's got I think it's like an octave from memory that he uses, which is like a real low and a real high one. And that just hits the spot. The riffs, I don't think I can look past the riffs in that song. Jerry Cantrell's a genius when it comes to riffs.
So you're
I'm
taking
gonna
the
have to go
cruncher in
Damn That
run.
River.
Sounds like you're taking a cruncher here.
I think I am.
Okay. That's 2-0 for Dirt in run.
Oh,
It's 2-0
boy.
for
Oh,
Nevermind
damn.
me. Salome?
Oh, damn. Not as in Damn That River, but just oh, damn in general. It's very, very close, much closer to a three-way tie than the last round.
It wouldn't surprise me if this
I
ends
had-
up being a three-way tie.
I had a sign earlier, though. I was walking my dog about 3 hours ago around the Oval down at Turak Park, and a personal trainer had one of these 3 songs on, playing out loud for the whole Oval to hear.
Ooh.
So I don't know if it's a sign. I don't know if it's influenced me in any way, because it is one of my favorite songs by this artist, and I think it pips the other 2 to the post. I won't delay it any longer. I've gone with the groover.
Yes.
Ooh.
So thank you to that personal trainer listening to Even Flow. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, oh my goodness. So there you
Of
go.
all the days.
Boy, do I feel like a black sheep today.
Yeah. Hey, 2-0 Nevermind for me. We've got 1-1 between Jacob and Salme, and we've got 2-0 for Dirt on Imran's end of the spectrum. Now, for me personally, this is where things get very, very difficult, and they get very difficult for the next few tracks. Rain When I Die versus Alive versus Come As You Are.
Oh, this is a tough one.
I might not be
Yeah.
alive by the end of this. I could give myself an aneurysm trying to decide. Cheeky Nirvana nod there. Long album, but yeah.
I
you know
had to
the-
think this one through.
This
Mhm.
one is like, Alive for me by Pearl Jam is like the definitive, like, epitome Pearl Jam song. That is
Here,
like,
here.
whenever anyone mentions the name Pearl Jam or Eddie Vedder or Mike McCready or Stone Gossard or even Matt Cameron, I immediately think Alive. Even though Matt Cameron's not on that song, but just because Matt Cameron's associated with Pearl Jam. I just like that chorus comes into my head, and oh man, what a song. That song just, for me as well, just brings back memories of just like I said before, just driving in a car, screaming at the top of my lungs along to Eddie Vedder's very poetic. That's a very personal song as well. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's about his experience as having a stepfather.
Yeah, half based on real life, half he made into a bit of a fictitious story. But the gist of it is pretty similar. In fact, the line "I'm still alive" is actually meant to have a much darker context, but due to the uplifting nature of it that fans, fans of the song have for it, it's kind of just changed its interpretation. Instead of being a really dark burden and a curse line, it's become the most uplifting lyric in music history almost.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Definitely.
Yeah, but then we've got songs like "Come as You Are." I think is my favorite song off of Nevermind.
Right. Okay.
Like that is such a chilling intro with the guitar like coming in there. It's like it sounds real mysterious, and I like the phrasing of the verse and the chorus and the melody is just really nice. It flows perfectly. I love the breakdown part after the part is like, "Nah, I swear that I don't," and it just like
yes.
it goes into like that crazy like it's the same riff, but it's just heavy drums.
That solo.
Yeah, and the solo. Oh,
the
man.
full 3 notes of it.
And then we've got "Rain When I
Don't
Die."
care. All it needs.
Oh,
Rain When I Die.
And then "Rain When I Die" is just that, like the harmonies in that song, like in that entire song, is probably the best harmonies that Lane has ever done. The build up to that, the intro where like the like that part is so good. It's structured nicely. It's beautiful. It's powerful. The bridge is amazing. I don't know. You guys go. I'm done. I don't.
The way I see it, best vocal performance out of the 3. It's either I was about to say "Rain When I Die" with Lane Staley and that soaring thing, but I'm like, no, that is just up there. "Come As You Are," that probably gave birth to the description, the watery riff. That's probably gave birth to that description. Do you know what? I actually prefer "Them Bones" and "Damn That River" to "Rain When I Die." So that kind of made the process of elimination a bit easier on me for that reason. But then I got really stuck with the Pearl Jam and the Nirvana song. I've listened to "Come As You Are" way much more than "Alive," but that solo takes it.
It's a shredder. I don't blame you.
That is an amazing solo.
That solo takes it. That's the reason why I have to take "Alive." I love "Come As You Are." I listen to it very, very frequently. It's phenomenal. My sister did a vocal cover of that song one time for one of her school bands nights, but the solo
I did a
takes
vocal
it.
cover of that once as well at school.
Did you?
I did. That was tough.
Good.
Oh
Yeah,
gosh. Goodness gracious me. "Rain When I Die," it's got that filthy bass line and that lead work in the intro. Like musically, it's super, super cool. Then you got "Alive," which, as Jason said, I think it's like Eddie Vedder at his most Eddie Vedder. He's got like his howls and that epic solo.
Which
but then "Come As You
based
Are."
on a Kiss solo, I should also mention.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
Wow. I feel like along with "Smells Like Teen Spirit," "Come As You Are" is one of those tracks off Nevermind that's just stuck with people even until today. It's nearly wasn't a single actually, which is really interesting to me because I can't imagine it not being a single. Kurt was worried that it was too similar to Killing Joke's song 80s, which was released in 1984, but the label convinced him, no, it's going to be more commercially successful than the other option, which was "In Bloom."
Well, they were both just as, I guess.
Yeah.
What in the
that
world
whole
would have
album was
happened?
just...
Yeah. What would have happened if that wasn't a single? But yeah, I'm kind of delaying the decision, but yeah, it's a very difficult split. But I think I have to go with "Come As You Are." It just takes me back to having like my childhood when we still had cassette tapes in cars. It was on a lot of my parents' mixtapes. I think it pips it to the post for me. Very tough decision, but I'll stick to my guns.
I feel like for me, this one wasn't as hard as the others. However, it still was difficult. I very much lean towards Alive because, Eddie Vedder, he kills it again and again and again. I mean, it's a slow, methodical, majestic intro followed by just an odd vocal melody with an entertaining guitar riff, a calm bridge, and then this amazing crescendo by McCready. And there's no way to dance around that. As much as Come As You Are, Kurt Cobain's hometown, Aberdeen, the Come As You Are is under the welcome sign to reference him and that song, which it shows it's important. But I think if I could probably say third, second, and first in this, and I'd probably go third is Come As You Are. Rain When I Die, that song just, it for some reason, I don't know what exactly it is, but something about that song catches me super well. And Alive is probably one of the better songs on this whole thing.
Out of all three.
Out of the entire 3 albums.
I'd have to agree with that as well.
Fair argument, I'd say, actually. Fair argument. Imran.
Oh, you're killing me, Jason. You're killing me.
Blame the timekeeper.
The evil bass struck again. Hey?
Okay.
Cheeky bugger.
I'm going to go based off my gut instinct right now. And I'm not happy about this decision, but I'm going to go Come As You Are.
Okay.
Purely just because I think it's just, I love Pearl Jam. Don't get me wrong. I've not given Pearl Jam any light of day yet, but I love them. But Come As You Are is just, I think that's just one of the greatest Nirvana songs of all time. And it's my favorite off of Nevermind.
If it makes you feel better, it was my gut instinct too. And even now, having committed to it, I'm like, oh, but Alive is just so.
Alive is too good.
There's something in my gut.
Yeah, it's one of those
Ask me again next week, and I'll probably say a different answer. But
yeah,
same deal with me. I'd say. Okay, now this is where things get a little bit interesting, and I would get your take on this. Track number 4, Down in a Hole versus Why Go versus Breed. However, on Dirt, there has been mix-ups with pressings over the years. Therefore, there are some pressing that list Down in a Hole as track 11. Where do we stand?
That is the superior. Down in a Hole should be track 11.
Okay.
Because I got confused with this at first because when I first listened to this, it was on Spotify. So I was used to Down in a Hole being track 4. And I still remember the first time I ever listened to that. I didn't really like the fact that it was this soft acoustic song right after a song so dark like Rain When I Die. And then when I got the CD to it, when I got a car, I saw that Down in a Hole was track 11. And I realized that is a much better position for Down in a Hole to be, because that is positioned between 2 songs, not to skip ahead, but that's positioned between Angry Chair and Wood. And I feel like the transition between those 2 songs to be Down in a Hole is a lot better than for Down in a Hole to be track 4.
Yeah, I love how Down in a Hole just keeps building and building. It starts out, I don't think you could really use the word unassuming, but as unassuming as you could go with Alice in Chains. They have that classic sound that it's almost a little scary, their sound. But then on the other hand, Breed is one of my favorite songs on Nevermind. The drums that lead into it are just so punchy and full of energy. And I really love the lyric, we could plant a house, we could build a tree. So that's becoming very difficult for me. And then Why Go also has some really sick drums in the intro. And there's some really funky guitar work. I think Pearl Jam, their grunge as can be, of course, but we were talking in the introduction about the differences between the 3 bands. And Pearl Jam, they sometimes even have an element of funk to their music. It's bizarre how well it fits, but it does. However, the chorus on Why Go doesn't quite resonate with me quite as much as the previous songs we've discussed, like Alive and even Flow. So I think that helps to knock it down below the other 2 a little bit. I'd be interested to hear other people's thoughts.
I'm just glad that you said that you said there was funk in Wygo, because I heard that in the entire bass line.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was almost like
100%.
Red Hot Chili Pepper-esque. It was bizarre but cool. I loved it.
It's a much more
Yeah,
grittier song, I'd say, too. Anyway.
I personally think "Why Go" is the most underrated song off of 10, because every time I've spoken to a few people who love Pearl Jam as well, who who are fans of the album, and no one ever talks about that song. I freaking love it. It's like one of my favorite Pearl Jam songs of all time. It's gritty, it's funky. I love grooving to it. There's a few beats in it that are like send you off skelter a little bit, but it's so good. The guitar solo is probably one of my favorite guitar solos off of that album.
I think it's got the unfortunate case of being wedged between two very, very good songs. Not that it's not good itself, but it's where it's placed.
It's on the album. I think it's placed perfectly, because it's placed between it's almost like an interlude between two like big emotional ballads. And like you go from one ballad that's like super striking and you love it, you love to scream it, and then you go to this super fast paced, funky, like aggressive, like it's an amazing song, and then that leads into another somber song. It flows so well on that album, and I think one of the main reasons why it's an amazing track is because of where it's placed on the album.
Definitely. I agree with that. Admittedly, I do see why people don't talk about this one as much. It is obviously placed in between two amazing songs, as you said, but I also think this one has the sad distinction of being a very different sound to what you think of when you think Pearl Jam. It's got that heavier feel to it, and if you're going to put it against any other song in this album, it feels like it's a little bit everywhere. It's still good, it's still funky, but I feel like it would work better on a different album or on its own. And the solo is good. I think the solo, there are places where there are loose drum beats that just, and I don't think it has the same stand, in my opinion, as the other two songs we've got here. Breed, of course, look, it's hard to look past Breed. When I think of fun Nirvana song, I think of Breed. But Down in a Hole, without a doubt. And when I think Down in a Hole, I think the more acoustic, softer side of Alice in Chains, and or at least for the start anyway, but it's something that catches me, and the distortion that plays softer in the back, I guess, is a good way to put it. It throws me into it, and I have to say that's probably the best of these three if we're putting it here.
Which one?
Yeah.
Down in a Hole. So I think I'd have to give this one to Alice in Chains.
So would I.
Ooh.
That's
three
my
in favor of Dirt for this round. Do we?
yeah.
Oh wait, no, I haven't
haven't
decided yet. I just agreed Down in a Hole was a good song.
Okay.
Down in a Hole's my top
This is a bit of
three
a
of Dirt.
Fair, it's definitely up there with me. I love Down in a Hole purely because of the unplugged version. I prefer the unplugged version better than the studio version. But the studio version's phenomenal. I still love it. The emotion in Lane's voice is top notch. It's like the melodies in it are perfect. I love the switch in the verse and the chorus goes from major to minor, which really hits. I really love that. But I don't know, like a song like Breed, that's very hard to go past because that's such a punky, fast paced. It's so frantic. It kind of feels like a stream of conscious, like the way he delivers the lyrics, like I don't care, like it just like kind of keeps going. It's so good. And yeah, this is a bit of a tough one. Salome, have you made a decision yet?
Oh, I think I have. Again, I could change my mind next week. I feel really bad because I love Down in a Hole. Like you've said, the emotion. I'm probably going to have a few grunge fans come after me for this, but I think a lot more people talk about Eddie Vedder and Kurt Cobain's voice as being iconic grunge, but nowhere near enough talk about Lane Staley. His voice, there's been nothing like it before and nothing like it since. And I haven't thrown them any love yet, and it's not because I haven't wanted to. It's just been so hard. But I think I have to go for Breed. It's one of my all-time favorite Nirvana songs. Just those, frantic was a very good word to use to describe it, Imran. Tentative Breed.
Oh.
I called it a better produced version of School, but okay.
Ooh. Okay.
That's a fair take. I'll give you that.
But no, my point went to Down in a Hole, as mentioned earlier, just because of the somber nature and it builds and builds and builds, kind of like how Jacob described Alive, the big crescendo at the end. And I don't not air guitar to that lead guitar at the end. Where's it going, Imran?
This is such a tough decision, but I think I'm gonna just by nature, I think I have to go with Down in a Hole. I don't like it, but I'm gonna have to.
You're losing your soul as you go. You're losing your soul as you pick that one.
I'm slowly deteriorating. I'm melting in my seat.
I'm down in a hole here. I'm on my own with my pick, but I'll stand by it.
Now you know how I felt with Them Bones and Damn That River.
A breed of your own.
Oh, I like it.
Moving on now to Sick Man, Black, and Lithium.
Jason, why are you doing this to me?
It doesn't get easier, does it?
That's sick, man.
I
this
feel like
was
it's
the
getting
easiest elimination I made.
Are you kidding?
Feel free to go first then.
Yeah, please.
I
by all
can't
means.
stand Sick Man.
You know what? I'm with you. I agree. I think Sick Man is... it makes me feel sick, man.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised I got a very quick agreement from you there, Jacob. Please explain.
That is the hottest take.
Is the hottest take?
The hottest.
Let's see if we're on the same wavelength here, Jacob.
I'm going to literally read from my notes because when I listen to the songs for this, I literally just write notes about how I feel when listening to it. I've got first, don't like this. Slow, almost trying to be psychedelic. Then bam, it's not. This song sounds and feels like a migraine. Is it trying to be creepy? Although I do like the bridge. I will say that. I'm a big fan of the bridge, but everything else for this song, I can't stand it.
Actually,
I feel like you're personally attacking me.
Jacob, I wrote down in my notes, midpoint is okay. Child laugh at 307. Everything else is kind of like, okay, I don't like this delivery from Lane. The instrumental portions is a bit all over the place. That was... I think we were sharing the same wavelength without even realizing. Are we telepathic here?
Yeah, we might be.
God damn. Well, I've had the hardest time trying to figure out these songs because I love Sick Man so much. It's one of those. It's one of those classic Alice in Chains songs that go from like this super aggressive, it's got such an aggressive riff. There's tribal like drums. It's just super aggressive vocal delivery. Everything about it is angry and I hate the world kind of deal. And then suddenly just kicks into this slow stoner rock. It's even a different time signature kind of deal. And it's got, again, the classic double tracked Alice in Chains vocals. It's got some nice guitar work from Jerry Cantrell. Sorry, I forgot his name there for a second. Yeah, and it just goes from part to part. Just the fact that it makes you kind of hate it. I feel like the song has done its purpose in the fact that it's made you dizzy and given you a migraine, because that's kind of, I feel like, what they really went for that song. And the bridge, the fact that you guys liked that was amazing, because that's my favorite part of the song. But
I didn't say it was good. I said it was I said it was okay.
Still, the fact that you somewhat liked it is
all right.
Is good enough
I'll concede that one.
Yeah.
Well, Salman? I actually had a question about Sick Man for Imran.
Oh yeah.
Sick Man gives me serious Tool vibes. You're the king of Tool.
Okay.
Where do you sit on that?
I mean, I get where you're coming from in terms of the heavy part where it's got the tribal drumming and the chugging riffs. In terms of the chorus, I think to be honest, I can't differentiate the verse and the chorus in that song, because to me it's just fast part, slow part, fast part, slow part, bridge, fast part, slow part. The fast part I can understand, sounds like Tool. The slow part, not really. But I see where you're coming from.
Yeah,
I like your train of thought.
I really wanted to put that for you when I went back and re-listened to it. I thought, I wonder what Imran thinks of this one.
I like your train of thought on that one.
Okay.
I like how Sick Man constantly changes pace. I can see why it would be dizzying, but I actually quite enjoy it. Just as you think it's dragging a bit, it'll speed back up. It's very much a roller coaster track. So
I'll concede that.
This is actually a pretty tough one for me, because Lithium is one of my all-time favorite Nirvana riffs, and Black is the first Pearl Jam song I ever actually listened to, and that song instantly resonated with me. So I'm gonna let you guys go first, and yeah.
Well, I think the first thing to mention with Lithium is that bass. The bass during at least the verses and the openings carries the entire song, where the drums throughout the chorus and the heavier parts of the songs pick up and then carry it through that. I think this has a perfect mix of those two. And Cobain over the top of it, I think I said before that I love the more laid back sound that he has, as much as people don't like that.
The melody in that verse is amazing. I think it flows so well.
Without a doubt.
I think we need to talk about how the chorus is literally one word.
Oh my God, yeah.
So good.
That is my favorite chorus, because that's just a melody, essentially, because he's just used one word. Like, he literally could have put any word there, and that still would have been the best chorus of all time, because that's purely just based off of melody.
My response to that is, yeah.
Don't you mean, yeah.
This is where I need to start admitting a few things to you guys.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
What do we got?
Oh no, I don't like where this is going.
You know how every time, I feel like every time you go online, you hear any person who has ever done any form of musical education or music training, they can respect Nirvana, they can appreciate what they've done to the culture and to music in general, but then their music, but then they say they can't stand their music because it's dumbed down. And that's what makes them an overrated band. Do you kind of get that vibe sometimes?
No.
No. Okay. Then I'm going down too far deep of a rabbit hole. I did a podcast on the Great Metal Standoff where we did Guns N' Roses versus Motley Crue, and we made a reference to Lithium, and the guy described it as nails on a chalkboard. I understand. I understand.
Give me his name and his address and the room that he sleeps in.
No, I understand. Here's the thing. Ever since, I love Lithium. I think it's a phenomenal song. But I can understand that viewpoint. And now I'm kind of in this position where, do you know that scene from Top Gear when they're in Ukraine? Richard Hammond shows up in a really practical Ford Focus and the Jeremy shows up in a Volkswagen Up. And Clarkson goes, that Focus is brilliant, but I like this Up.
The meme,
Black, I think Black is brilliant, but I like Lithium. And I'm in this sort of conundrum at the minute.
As much as I think Lithium is, it's an amazing song, as much as some people might not like it. Cough, cough.
Not looking at you.
Black is one of the best songs Pearl Jam has ever put out, I dare say. Its melancholy feel fits with what the lyrics are about. It's got a possibly very, very, very dark meaning behind it. The build-up from, I guess, the softer, melancholy opening to anything higher and heavier than that's perfect. When I think Black, I think of the da 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 da,
and like the piano,
the piano in the back. Veda starts singing along with that at the end of the song, and it's perfect. During the breakdown, you've got Veda in the back doing his own little thing, but managing to contribute to that amazing set of instruments going on. The vocals, again, they shine. I think this song, from a lyric sense and from a tone sense, is perfect.
Does that mean, Jacob, you're taking Black?
Oh, it's a hard one, but I think I am.
Okay, only checking.
Jason, you've made me just want to pick Lithium now, just to spite you. But now that
you're not spiting Jason, you're spiting old mate.
Okay, yeah. All right, yeah, fair enough.
You're not going to do Jason, it to spite me. I like Lithium, and I'm still conflicted.
I'm conflicted as well, but see, the thing is, my instinct is to go to Lithium because, that I think really shows, what you don't understand with Nirvana is that they're simple. That's that's the whole point of their sound, is that their sound is simple melodies. It's pop. That's basically what they are. They're just heavy. So the fact that this song is so simple, yet it's got parts that really resonate with millions of people, and even me, right now, just thinking this is the song I want to pick. I think really shows the genius of Kurt Cobain to be able to write a riff like that, put a melody over it, write a chorus with just one word, and as well as add a bridge, which is my favorite part of the song, is just, I'm like, I hate to say it, but I'm gonna have to go with Lithium. As much as Black is like an amazing freaking song, like in its own stance, like I said before, that is the first Pearl Jam song I ever heard, and that made me want to listen to so much more Pearl Jam after that. That song resonated with me immediately. But Lithium, I think I'm gonna have to go with on this one.
Okay, Salome.
Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! No! Well, I think I have to mention we've discussed the simplicity of Nirvana, which, like, on paper it's simple, but they make it sound so much more. Particularly so in Lithium, and I think I'm so happy because today I found my friends. They're in my head. Is just classic self-depreciation Cobain at its finest. That's very, very true to form, I suppose. But I haven't even spoken about Black yet. And I absolutely love it. It's a huge call, but it's possibly my favorite Pearl Jam song. The chorus, it's so dramatic sounding, and it's weaved in, like it almost sounds like a sitar that's weaved in there with it. It feels like a ballad, but it's still a classic rock song at the same time. And those little like I think you summed it up, Jacob. It's a flawless song. Like, yeah, my vote goes to 10 on this one. It was almost released as a single, actually. The label urged them to, but Eddie Vedder said, nah, it's too personal. I almost like it better that way. It has kind of left that personal element to it, but what a single it would have been. I think it would have almost swayed some people who aren't Pearl Jam fans towards them. So it's very, very powerful.
All right. That leaves it down to me. Once again, I should preface, Black is brilliant. Imran, I'm taking Lithium. I still like it enough that I'm going to pick it. But I'm just on your point on Kurt Cobain being a genius. My views on that have dwindled over the years, but it is still admirable that he wrote a song like Lithium. And I should also mention, live at Reading, that's their best performance.
I agree.
That's the best performance of any song on that gig. Lithium is their best one.
That hands down is just the greatest live performance of all time. Like, straight up.
So speaking of difficult decisions, you know how everybody asks you if there was an artist no longer with us that you could see once, who would it be? Like while we're on the subject of difficult decisions, I think mine would be Nirvana. There is a lot up there, but I think I have to go with that. So that's kind of credit to how much I love them. And the live sets I've watched back as someone born, just a few months too late to be alive at the same time as Kurt. My mother once made the joke, yes, you were alive at the same time as Kurt Cobain in utero. Very good joke, Mum. But yes, if I could see any band that I don't have an actual chance of seeing, it would be Nirvana. And possibly because of that set that we're discussing right now.
Yeah.
Shivers.
Well, now that we're approaching we're borderline halfway. We're not quite there yet, but we'll do a score check anyway. I'll start with myself. Nevermind leads 3-1-1. Imran. Alice in Chains lead, 3-2-0, with Nevermind having the 2. Jacob, Pearl Jam leads 3-1-1. And Salome, Nevermind leads 3-2-0. And the 2 points goes to 10.
Interesting.
Wow, that's really down the middle.
And I would not believe that I would be 5 tracks in not having picked something off Dirt. That is astounding.
Lord.
And now we reach probably the 3 darkest songs of each. Rooster versus Jeremy versus Polly. And all 3 are very, very good.
Oh, yeah. This one, honestly, I think is probably the easiest pick for me. But in saying that, these are all 3 like top-notch, amazing songs.
Okay.
Like I have got Polly is one of my favorite Nirvana songs of all time. One of my definitely one of the most standout tracks off of Nirvana. Just the fact that it's just it's like one of my favorite things about this track is the fact that it's got no drums apart from cymbals, it's only got bass in it for 5 seconds, and the harmonies, just in the chorus, are just like, they're simple but they're beautiful. It's a simple but perfect like little track in the song.
Yeah, speaks for itself.
And yeah, exactly. And Jeremy, that's just a song you love to scream. That's like, once that bridge hits, that's a song you just want to like just go, Daddy, did it give attention? Like that's an amazing track. That's got an amazing like little bass line at the start and the little harmonics and the on the guitar. I could be getting that wrong, I don't know, but it's funky, it's groovy. You just love to scream it. It's that you can tell the band were having fun with that song when they were playing it, especially towards the end when it just kind of becomes a jam track.
And it just
crazy,
rises
given
and
that it's
rises.
not a very
Yeah, it just builds to a crescendo. But
it's crazy
yeah,
given that it's not a very fun song when you think about it. But yeah, it does sound fun. So
yeah, my point's going to Rooster on this one, because that to me is too iconic of a song to not give a point to. That, and I freaking love that song. I will defend that song to death. Anyone who ever puts any hate to that song, I will. I hope none of you have nothing bad to say about it, because I will rip you to shreds.
Oh, I've got nothing bad to say about it at all. And I love the personal element. Anyone feel free to fact check me on this. But Rooster was actually named after Staley's father, who served in Vietnam, and his nickname was the Rooster.
I can correct you on that. Jerry Cantrell's father.
Sorry, Cantrell's father, not Staley's.
Yeah.
Yes. I love that personal element to it. It's
not only that, but it helped brought them together. They were quite estranged from upbringing, and that was the thing that brought them together, that song.
Yeah, I was going to say, that song was, he wrote that specifically to get closer to his dad. Mission
accomplished.
And it kind of tugs at my heartstrings too, in making a decision that's very, very, very difficult. And Polly also, it might have been released on Nevermind, but it actually dates back to like 1988 when they first started writing music for Nirvana. So it's technically a lot.
Yeah, there's a version on that on Incesticide.
New Wave.
Sorry.
New Wave. Yeah. It's a faster version.
It's super fast, super punky. Yeah.
And it's also a very good version. They're very different from each other, but very, very good. I have a cousin named Jeremy, named after this song. So there's another personal element to bring in to the decision making.
Is this from the same uncle who's obsessed with Pearl Jam?
It is indeed. And I'm certain somewhere else around the world there is another Gen Xer parent who's used the name. So
Jacob, where do you stand on this?
Look, I mean, Polly is an amazing song. I love the feel of it and almost the tone of it as well. It has that more laid back sound, as I said, I like from Cobain. And it keeps that throughout the entire thing. I think it's a very good, maybe third or fourth best Nirvana song for me ever. But Rooster and Jeremy are phenomenal, both of them. I think Rooster has one of the bass is amazing through it. It's got a softer sound again for Alice in Chains, which again, I love that. The guitar works well with it. When it kicks up and gets a little heavier, it does that really well. It seems to flow really smoothly into that.
And it feels like a crescendo as well.
Yeah, without a doubt. And in my notes, I've got wah, wah, wah part is very good. There's obviously a bit more of a wah sound in it, and I love that. I will say that there's a bit of a come down after that I'm not the biggest fan of, but the rest of the song for me is phenomenal. And I think the only thing that catches it above that is because we're putting Jeremy in front of it. Jeremy, the drums are what I've called crunchy. The vocals are great. I'm just going off my notes again here. The guitar works great. The chorus is perfect. It keeps a solid pace that you don't really notice on a first listen. It somehow is fairly laid back while also feeling like it's at a crescendo almost the entire time because of how Vedder sings the song.
Yes, right at the edge of your seat on occasion. You feel the tension rising as it goes along.
When it kicks up, because it does eventually kick up, when it does that very, very well. And in my notes, I've got the hoo, hoo, hoo part. So when he's going, whoo, like that is phenomenal. Him just almost scatting at the end of the song throughout the second half is maybe my favorite thing Vedder has ever done, just because it's so much fun to like sing along. It's a perfect karaoke song, despite how dark it actually is. I think because of that, I think I'm gonna say Jeremy over Rooster, but it is close as hell.
It is close, isn't it?
I want to add quickly. Sorry.
Yep.
The start of Rooster, that chord that he uses, the like the watery,
Dun,
like,
dun,
yeah.
dun, dun, yep.
Dun, bang, bang, bang. That first chord is the same chord that's used in the bridge of "Come As You Are."
Is that so?
That yeah, I believe I think Kurt Cobain was. If I'm not, no, yeah, Nevermind came out before Dirt.
Nevermind came out about a year.
Yeah, so Kurt Cobain used that first. Yeah, that's the same chord that Kurt Cobain used, that Jerry Cantrell used in Rooster, like that very first chord.
Well, that's
Interesting
interesting.
segue.
Yeah, it's a very grunge chord.
Very grunge chord. There you go.
Yeah.
So I think that means Salme and I are still yet to pick. Do you know what? I'm not going to lie. I know, Imran, you said this is probably one of the easiest for you. This was definitely the hardest for me.
I understand. It's a very tough pick. These are some amazing songs.
This one's tough. I think, Salme, what are you going to do?
Oh, shivers. It's very, very close, but I think I have to go with Jeremy. That song, it gives you chills for so many reasons. For one, the dark underlying meaning, it can't be ignored. But at the same time, as Jacob was talking about earlier, I feel like in the last minute of the song, Eddie Vedder is trying to see how many different noises he can make. It's like this cool freestyle rapping, scatting. And just from that first note as well, like right at the beginning, right up to the end, it's just constant crescendo. You never, like, it just peak. It just keeps on going. That's not to take away from Rooster or Polly, but I think I have to go with Jeremy. It's just so suspenseful. It's like fantastic movie of the song world. You just never quite know where it's going. And for that, yeah.
You made a really compelling case, you know. I was just going to even it out and say Rooster, but I think you're swaying me, you know.
Oh no.
Dude, I can give you more facts about Rooster, or not facts, but just things about Rooster if you want.
Give me one more. Let's make this a debate. Try and sway me. What would be the fact that you think could sway me?
Okay, the second verse, the best part of that second verse is when it's just like Gloria. When he just screams out the name Gloria for no reason. Send me pictures of my boy. That's got to sway you, right?
Is that it?
No, that's not my only argument. Okay, what else we got here?
Compare that to the power of Eddie Vedder going freestyle, though.
Well, do you know, when you said freestyle, I could just imagine freestyle rapping, but with prolonged vocal harmony. I was thinking, what would that be like? Anyway,
I mean,
give me more time here.
Is that wrong?
Imran, I think you're out of time. I'm going to take Jeremy. That was a very well thought out argument.
Give me more time.
We've only got 40 minutes on this Zoom call, Imran.
Hair flick, T-sip.
Whack. I could have given you more arguments. I can't believe that was the first one I chose.
Time is of the... Hey, I love Polly. It's gentle, but it's got that like lifeless feeling that's actually quite suitable for the song. But Jesus Christ, Rooster and Jeremy are two terrific tracks. Fun fact before we move on, both of those songs have music videos. They're both by the same director.
Oh,
really? I did not know that.
You learn something new every day. Junkhead versus Oceans versus Territorial Pissings. I'll start the debate with this. After listening to all three of these albums and considering Rooster, Jeremy, and Polly are the darkest, especially in subject matter, when you listen to a song like Oceans, it's a nice calming reset.
It really is.
Yeah, it's not horribly grungy in the traditional sense, is it?
Yeah.
No.
That song, ironically, does not remind me of the ocean. That reminds me of a jungle. The drumming in it and I don't know, just the way the chords and the notes are placed just kind of just more of like a tribal feeling for me. Does not remind me of the ocean. There are more songs on Pearl Jam's 10 that remind me of the ocean that's not Oceans.
You want a fun fact about the lyrics of Oceans?
It's about Eddie Vedder's love of surfing, isn't it?
Yes, and do you know how he wrote them?
No, I
Oh,
don't.
Apparently, the story goes is that he went to top up the parking meter in the pouring rain, but he ended up getting locked out of the studio. But he had a pen and paper on him, and the bass you could hear the bass from the studio radiating through the door. So he just listened to the bass from outside and wrote the lyrics based on that. That's the story.
Oh,
If anyone wants to fact check me on that.
Oh wow,
That's
But
awesome.
still,
that's really cool.
It's very laid back surfer kind of.
Yeah, that sounds like something Eddie Vedder would do.
compared to Territorial Pissings, which is once again another massive in-your-face punk track. Chris
That is a
Novoselic singing through, I guess, a megaphone, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, right at the start, like, go on, smile on your brother. Yeah, that part.
Which is apparently the chorus to a Youngblood song called "Get Together."
Yeah, it's apparent. From memory, I don't remember the song, but it's an old like classic some pop track, and I think they use it ironically. I don't remember how. Please fact check me on that. But yeah, they use it ironically to kind of line up with the ideas of the actual song. But what a song that is! Territorial Pissings. That is the heaviest, like most punk song that Nirvana has ever like written, and I freaking love it. And it's so hard to put that up against Junkhead, because Junkhead is one of my favorite songs off of Dirt. It's I think it's one of the most underrated songs, because that's another song that I don't hear many people talking about off of Dirt that I like really, really love. I don't know, it's one of those songs that it's got a really like interesting, like jarring riff. It's the way the riff and the melody of the verse works. It kind of sounds like it doesn't work at all together, but somehow it just makes sense, and then it just flows into that chorus that just like goes up, and I don't know, the song's really weird because it sounds like it just doesn't make sense, yet it kind of does.
I got that vibe too. It's like a real collision of classic rock and metal, bang, boom, explosion. Shouldn't make sense, but it does.
I've got the exact same thing on my notes. I feel like this shouldn't work, but it does. It's something about it. Just it seems to work where it shouldn't. And I think it also, again, coming on what Jason said though, the dark sounding coming from Rooster. The difference between Oceans and Territorial Pissings and Junkhead, I guess, would be playing it in order. Junkhead and Territorial Pissings, to me, don't fit where they are. I feel like there should be some sort of palate cleanser somewhere in there. There's no saying they're not good songs, because they are amazing songs, both of them. But I don't think they fit there, and I think that's a downside on the albums for me.
That's a very interesting take, because I think they're both placed like where they should be. I can't imagine them anywhere else on the album. Or where would you imagine them on the album?
I'm not sure, to be honest. I no idea off the top of my head, but I do feel like there needs to be something in there. No idea what I'd put there though.
Cause I kind of feel like, because with Dirt especially, like right after Rooster, the big hit of the album, you've got like kind of a more unknown, almost throwaway song, yet like it's kind of more of a song that resonates for me for some reason. But like in terms of like Alice in Chains' discography, it feels like more of a throwaway song.
I guess I can say that too. Yeah, it's hard to say.
I'm going to push.
Fun fact about Oceans. Fun fact about Oceans that might throw people over there. Originally, the percussion was overdubbed with a pepper shaker and a fire extinguisher, because they were nowhere near a music rental shop. So when you think fun, how does this song exist with Eddie Vedder writing the lyrics outside and it being made with a pepper shaker and a fire extinguisher? I think this song's really fun.
Bloody hell.
Damn.
Has that swayed the final answer?
I don't know. It's almost a poppy song, Oceans. It's got super jangly guitars and the oohs, and I get kind of like Thank You by Led Zeppelin vibes almost. It's a really bizarre little mix of sounds. And now that I hear how it was written and put together, maybe that's why it's such a bizarre mix. And I think we've talked about how these three are a bit of a stop after 3 super intense songs, they're all so different in the way they go about it. So it's particularly hard to place. Territorial Pissings, the title reminds me of taking my dog for a walk. It makes me laugh. It's just so energetic and crazy and out there. And I think having it placed after Polly, it's a really good reminder of how versatile Nirvana really are. You've gone from one end of the scale to the other, 2 songs in a row. So for me, I think that placement, it shouldn't work, but it kind of just shows you the opposite ends of the spectrum. Bang, bang.
Okay.
I think for me, this is like, I love Oceans. Like that's a great track off of 10, but I think for me, this is kind of a toss up between Junkhead and Territorial Pissings.
Okay, where are you leaning?
Like naturally, I'm leaning towards Junkhead, but Territorial Pissings is the one song I just love to like. I love it. I don't know. There's no other way to describe it other than I love it. It's so good. It's like, it's fast paced the whole way through. It's got that little bridge in the middle where it's kind of like, it gets a bit slower, but it's still the same pace, but it gets a bit like, drops a little bit, and then it just comes crashing back in with like some crazy, it's just so punky. Kurt just like lets loose on this track. He, like, in terms of vocals,
voice crack,
the voice cracks, he just lets loose. I don't think I've heard another singer who lets loose like Kurt Cobain. He does not care. He just goes for it, and it just hits. He knows what he's doing on that song, and it hits smack bang. Like, well, like, I mean, not like in terms of technical singing, but he knows that if he just lets loose on that song, that like, it fits perfectly with the song, with the fact that he just lets loose, lets his voice crack. Just he lets his voice go to the absolute peak and then further. And he does not hold back whatsoever. You can feel, like, every time I listen to that song, I feel my voice hurting from him singing that song. It hurts my voice, but he still just lets absolutely loose. And it's such a crazy, wacky, wild, such a fun song. You like the drums in it are like, you can tell Dave Grohl's having so much fun on that song.
Let's conclude with this. That voice crack in Territorial Pissing is my mark against the song, but you've given me a compelling enough case for me to take it. So if I regret this later on, I'm blaming you, Imran. I'm going to take Territorial.
Oh no.
Interesting.
I want to lean towards Junkhead. If you pick Territorial Pissings, I'm going to feel bad for picking Junkhead now. And
that's okay. That's good. That's fine.
Don't feel bad for it, because that's what I'm picking as well. I'm picking Junkhead. I think it's better than the other two. I think as I said, if this was me listening to the album, all 3 albums as they are in one row. So if I was listening to 10 and then Dirt and then Nevermind, Oceans would be first. But when you're putting these 3 songs against each other like this, Junkhead is, to me, by far the best.
I think Junkhead is the most interesting out of the 3, because it sounds like it doesn't work, but it does. And the fact that because it sounds like it doesn't work, but it does, and it works so well, I think I'm going to have to pick Junkhead for this one.
Salome?
Yeah, I think because of how I convinced myself with the difference in the scale, I'm going to go with Territorial Pissings.
Ooh.
And Territorial Pissings for Salome. I'm loving the passion, the fact that we've spent so much time on these last 3 tracks. It's admirable, I must say. Tip of the hat and a nod in appreciation. Moving on now, Dirt versus Porch versus Drain You.
It's a very interesting matchup.
Yeah.
This is interesting, because Porch is another one of those songs on 10 that's like kind of underrated, that no one really talks about. I don't know about you guys, but yeah, I don't know about you guys, but I love Porch. It's real funky, kind of slows down a little bit, but it's got like that nice, like, classic rock with a bit of the Pearl Jam edge to it.
Okay. I agree with you though. I think this one is, it almost makes me think of Alive, solely because I could be wrong on this, but if you listen to the start of Alive and this, I'm pretty sure it shares the first few notes and melody.
Yes.
It's a little, it tricks you. It's like, you think it's Alive 2.0, and then the second you've had the thought, it's gone.
This feels like an alternate version to Alive. It feels like they wrote this ahead of time and then wrote Alive and went, oh, that's better, but this is still very, very good. This does feel like a faster version of everything we've just heard. And look, I mean, there's no way to get past it. This part of this song to me is it just keeps getting faster and faster, or it feels like it is. And that solo, oh my God, that solo. That's the whole song for me.
That solo is that solo reminds me very much of what do you call it, like classic Black Sabbath like era.
Like that Wheels of Confusion vibe kind of thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like just not even like that song, but just like a lot of what Tony Iommi did back in the day was like he used to double track his guitar solos where it sounded like there were two guitars soloing at the same time, and there'd just be a bass in the background. And this song reminds me very much of that, where it was two guitars soloing at the same time. And they were both doing different things, but they sync up at like one point, and I feel like that's very much Black Sabbath inspired. And I love this song for that because it does that very well. It syncs up like with the guitar solo like at some points, and then it kind of on each side of the guitar solos it does its own little thing, and then it comes back and does like the same motif and then goes straight back into the song.
Definitely. I think outside of just the solo too, Vedder, again, in a almost just the way he treats his whole album, he kills the vocals again. It's almost a very different vocal style throughout the first half and the second half, but both halves, to me, work very, very well together with everything. And this song, as I agree, is super underrated.
This is another one of the songs that that I feel like Eddie Vedder's like rapping on it. Like it's just a fast like scat type vocals, and this is like one of the most underrated tracks, definitely on 10. But not my probably. I don't know if it's my pick yet. I'm not gonna say anything because Drain You is one of my favorite tracks off of Nevermind. Like immediate, like that song immediately hooked me when I first listened to it. I don't know. It's one of those songs that's just like it feels like it shouldn't be. It feels like a filler track, but at the same time, it just hits, and it's one of those songs that just it's an instant like love it kind of song, and it's like an amazing chorus. It's got like that punky feel to it in the chorus. You got that really cool middle section where it goes real ambient, and it's just like drums and bass, and it's got the real like fast guitar picking kind of stuff. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe they use like pet toys or something in the middle of it for those squeaky noises in the background. There's like really reverbed.
I had in my notes a rubber duck.
yeah, something like that. Yeah, like rubber ducks or like pet toys, kind of. Yeah, they got the spraying sound in it. Yeah.
I'm gonna ruffle your feathers, Imran.
Uh-oh.
I'm here to ruffle feathers. It's why I've been reluctant to speak up until now. Drain You, I think it's one of the very few, if not the only throwaway tracks on Nevermind. I don't think it's bad. I just think there's a reason it's a B-side track.
That is a hot take.
It's all on the table.
I actually agree. I don't mind it, but nothing here stands out. Like nothing in the song stands out to me, and like the harmonies, and I don't know if they're harmonies or just double layered or whatever there, but I'm not a fan of that. I feel like that it feels almost experimental.
The lyrics are cheesy too. They are very cheesy. I loved them as like a 14-year-old thinking I was a hopeless romantic, but now they just annoy me a little bit. Again, I don't think it's a bad song, not at all, but yeah, there's a reason it was overlooked for other tracks on the album to be singles.
Mm-hmm.
I get what you mean. I get what you mean that the lyrics are cheesy. I think I like the song more in the fact that the way it's structured and the fact that it's like just a straight like Nirvana-esque song.
I will give you that. It's a very interesting structure.
Yeah.
Not my favorite.
Fair enough. Yeah. I mean, I haven't even touched on Dirt yet. Dirt is one of the title track of the album Dirt. Surprise, surprise. That song is yeah, I know, right? Crazy. That one of my favorite riffs off of the album straight up, like right from the get-go. Such an evil sounding vocal delivery in the verse. The vocal layering in the chorus is really nice. You got like it sounds kind of pleasant, but at the same time, the whole song sounds a bit evil and dark. And yeah, it's like there's a bit of a kind of got that Arabian feel to it. Like I don't know exactly the scale that Jerry Cantrell uses or whatever in the riff, but it's kind of got a bit of like a deserty feel to it. And yeah, it sounds real dark and evil, and that's definitely one of a very underrated track off of the album as well, which is surprising for a title track. But I don't know, up against songs like Drain You and Porch. Oh, I don't know. What are you feeling, Jason?
I'll go out and say my point immediately, and that is Porch. Mostly because I'm gonna do a Jacob, and that is refer to my notes here. And this is my argument to you, Imran, considering we're both very visual when we listen to music. As you can recall, in our Dio podcast, we painted this really grand picture of the song "Shame on the Night." Remember that?
Yes.
So picture this when we listen to Porch. Can you imagine the interlude with the bridge and that solo being played on an open, dry heat beaming onto the desert plain, and it's just a flat, open desert, and you just hear that bridge with the solo and the big, grand nature of it. That was the vision I came out of listening to Porch.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah,
it is a very grand song.
Yeah, I can see that. This makes my decision a bit harder now, because it kind of makes me lean a bit more towards Porch, but at the same time, I think my instinct makes me want to go Drain You, but at the same time, that's a very tough choice between Dirt and Drain You.
Yeah,
because I love Dirt as well. That's a very underrated track for me off of Dirt. And
I thought it was just fine, personally, just on my personal opinion. Slow and trundling, great.
It's one of those tracks that's like it's like a classic Alice in Chains song. Like you hear it and you're like
it
the
is
first
typical.
Listen. It's the first listen is kind of one of those typical tracks, but it's one of those tracks that kind of grew on me. And yeah, it's like, I think personally for me, it just kind of grew as it used to be one of those tracks that I used to just skip. But now that I've listened to it, I'm like, oh yeah, this is actually kind of cool. Like there's like little elements of it that I kind of particularly like draw to. And
well, then let's hope that it grows on me in the future. It hasn't yet, but let's hope it does.
I think on the back of your, painting a picture style thing with Porch, I guess my first listening to Dirt, I kind of had that same idea with it. Immediately sprung this Middle Eastern deserty, almost like an evil Aladdin style to me. As Imran pointed out, it feels very much like you could picture this being played in some town out in the Sarabi Desert at dusk with an evil villain or something. And I think that imagery, it's strong, and I think it personally outbeats Porch just because I can picture that. And it kind of describes how, I guess, Alice in Chains kind of feels to me, evil but fun and interesting. So I think that as much as it is a little bit typical, it being the title name for the album fits because of how typical it is and how much it does describe the entire band in that song, in my opinion.
Well, Jason, you thought Jacob was being telepathic with you earlier. Now you've gone telepathic with me. I think Dirt is a title track that perfectly encapsulates not only the album, but also Alice in Chains as a whole. I think it's a really good example of the stacked vocals that they made such a trademark, and it's super unique. And yeah, it's scary. I say it with a lot of respect. They are a scary sounding band, but it's very, very cool. So yeah, we're on a wavelength here.
Seems to be
that was Imran's argument. Maybe it's a three-way telepathic nature we have going on over here. But
wait, hold on. I think I'm leaning towards more Drain You.
Okay.
As much as I love Dirt, I think like my instinct kind of draws towards Drain You, purely because of more of the Nirvana-esque sound that they bring. Like as much as I love that dark, heavy Alice in Chains, like I'm a sucker for that dark, like those like sludgy riffs. But I think Drain You, takes it for me today. As much as it's hard to say.
Drain You from Imran going against the grain in this battle. That's
it's hard, but yeah.
Fun song, Drain You. It's very fun. I think they're more of that mid-tempo kind of song on Nevermind. I think they do it better on later tracks. I will admit to that. So my final answer was Dirt for Alice in Chains.
Yes, I can't believe it's taken me 8 tracks to throw them a vote. I hope anyone listening, please don't think that I don't like them, because I really do. It's just been a very, very hard fought battle. And when you've got 3 up against each other as opposed to 2, it makes it even harder. But
I can't believe out of all the tracks that we've gone past off of Alice in Chains, you've picked Dirt. That's really interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, anyway, I think now's a good time for a bit of a score check. So every order, because it's 3 albums, I'm just going to go, the first score you get is Dirt, second is 10, third is Nevermind, and I'm just going to do it like that from here on in. How's that?
Okay.
Alrighty.
We'll start with Imran. 5-0-3. Jacob, 3-4-1. Myself, 1-3-4. And Salome, 1-3-3.
Ooh.
So just remember, Dirt goes first, 10 goes second, Nevermind goes third. That's the order as we go. Move on to, what is it, track 9 now? So Godsmack versus Garden versus Lounge Jack. Actually, I should do that again. Godsmack versus Garden versus Lounge Jack.
Can we talk about those vocals? Because to me, that ruins the entire song.
So you guys hate those vocals?
I can't stand those vocals. I think during the chorus when he ditches it,
wow,
it is the best Alice in Chains song on this entire album. But because of those vocals during the verses, I can't listen to it.
Okay, I take it back. Every time I've said that is the hottest take before this moment,
right?
I take that back. That is the hottest take.
Okay.
Because I think those are some of the best vocals of Lane Staley.
I think you need to ban yourself from saying hot take.
I'm gonna create a new word. That is a spunk.
The goddess
right
smack.
there is a spunk.
Salome, I reckon we should just take a step back and watch these two debate.
Look, I still haven't even decided what my favorite track out of these 3 are, but Godsmack is like one of the best tracks off of Dirt, and I cannot believe you're dissing the vocals on that track.
It's so close to being the best track. Problem is, it feels like it's being sung by SpongeBob going, ah! But, like, I don't like that.
I've got a question for you, Jacob.
Oh.
Is it the sound that a weregoat would make?
You know what? I think it is.
Oh, no.
Okay. So just in case you're not you don't know that joke, we did a segment back on the Mosh Pit radio show where we talked about a band called Weregoat, and it turned into a bit of a farce, that conversation. So if you want to check that out, that's on the Mosh Pit Facebook page, facebook.com/Mosh Pit on Sin. Back to the topic at hand.
Sorry
I missed
for the tangent.
But yeah, oh my god, look, never mind the vibrato. The melody of that chorus, not the chorus, sorry, the verses where he does that like super vibrato. The melody of that is like super chilling. That's just like it's real menacing, and like it kind of gives you a really like angsty, like I don't know how to describe it, like a real angsty, like edgy vibe to it. And I feel like the vibrato really adds to that, like it's super angsty, like it. I don't know what word to use other than angsty. Help me. Anyone else like this track other than me?
I love it.
Thank you.
Enough to give it a point,
holy crap! Thank you.
Well, we haven't even had the discussion yet, Jason. Let's turn it back a notch. They are angry-sounding vocals, but I like them. It's one of my favorite songs on Dirt. And it's also featured on Rolling Stone's top 10 Lane Staley live highlights. So clearly it shreds live, and the solo is a Godsmack. It just...
Honorific.
that solo feels like right at the beginning of that solo feels like it's just ripping out of nowhere. Like it literally sounds like it's tearing through the fabric of reality. I don't know if any of you hear that, but just like that, those first few notes just feel like it's just tearing
Tearing
like,
through the fabric of reality. That is a pretty cool quote. I stand.
I wrote that down right here. So yeah.
We haven't even touched base on Garden or Lounge Jack. What are your thoughts on that?
Lounge Jack has that groovy bass line. I think that Chris Novoselic, he's sometimes the easiest person to overlook in Nirvana, obviously, because of Kurt's royalty status in grunge, and then Dave Grohl's later royalty status, you know, kind of went on to find a little band called the Foo Fighters. You might have heard of them. But I think that is just his time. That's Chris Novoselic's time to shine. It's so groovy and crunchy, and I love that bass line. It carries that song for sure.
This song is actually one of my top 3 songs on Nevermind, purely because of the bass intro, and the song is groovy. It's got a very interesting vocal melody in the verse. Because in the verse it sounds really unresolved. He's got this melody that goes with each line. It goes up and then it gets unresolved, and then it keeps going, and until the chorus hits, it doesn't feel resolved until that chorus kind of flows on, and then once that last part hits, you got the last part where it just hits an octave higher in his vocals, and that's when I feel like it really kind of resolves the whole song, because he's just really going for it, and he's and he's just got everything smack bang. He's just really angrily shouting at you all these things that he hasn't resolved, but it's still the same melody that is singing in this higher octave. But yeah, I think this is one of the most underrated tracks on the album. This is a song no one ever speaks about, in my opinion.
I'm glad you've made a compelling case for that, because I prefer Kurt belting out those vocals much better on Lounge Jack than, for example, Territorial Piercings, where it just becomes a bit of a farce. I think that one is done much better on Lounge Jack.
I can't agree more. And this is a song, admittedly, I hadn't listened to for a couple of years. So going back to listen to it, in my notes, I've literally got the vocals sound like Counting Crows, the band Counting Crows. And that's a good thing. I actually really like them. They've got that almost monotone, similar, just staying on the same area, not going up or down. And something about that, it has, as Imran said, it's almost a jazzy, funky sound to it. And that completely changes once you get to the second half. It gets heavier, it gets more Nirvana, but it's still one of the better songs I think I've heard on Nevermind.
Enough to give it a point?
Oh, I'm still tossing up Garden.
Yeah,
Garden,
there's Garden.
I'm tossing up Garden as well.
Okay.
You know what? In fact, I'm tossing up all of these songs because, Garden, I haven't even touched on yet, because Garden is for me also one of the most underrated tracks in the album. But
Certainly.
Probably my I can't say ultimate favorite, but it's one of those really, it's one of those songs that is up there for me. I can't say it's an ultimate favorite, but it is up there. It is number one against a bunch of other number ones on this album. It's got this, the riff to it is it's got such a suspenseful ambience to it. And the vocals to it are just real mysterious and kind of gentle. I don't know if it feels like you're walking through an unfamiliar ground, and then the chorus kind of almost like a garden,
meadow frolicking, that kind of thing.
Yeah, like a meadow you've never been through before.
Yeah.
And then suddenly
it's a weird adjective when you remember we're talking about Pearl Jam. Frolicking through a meadow and Pearl Jam isn't something I would associate together, but Garden does that.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's one of those songs that it's got such an unsettling vibe to it, but then once that chorus hits, it's one of the to me one of the most perfect Pearl Jam choruses. And especially I think the highlight of this song is the second verse. Coming from that second verse is the verse, obviously, and then into the chorus. where he maintains the same melody that he keeps in the verse and then eases into the chorus, where I don't know how, you got to listen to the song, but he's got the same melody that he keeps in the verse, he keeps into the chorus, and then kicks into the chorus, and then that chorus flows into a bridge, and then a little solo, and then that final chorus just goes like up, crescendos, and just builds to a perfect outro. And
Another compelling
it's
case,
one of
Imran.
those,
What are we all thinking?
yeah.
It's very, very intricate, like the finger picking at the start, and musically it is a very, very beautiful song. And then at about a minute 50, it just surges back to that heavy sound. It's a journey, that's for sure.
Mm.
I haven't even decided yet. You guys go first. I can't.
I was originally going to go Lounge Act, but then you convinced me. Well done.
Oh no, what did I convince you?
Garden.
Oh.
Garden.
All right.
I could take each and every bit of analysis that you gave just a minute ago, Imran, and then add what I thought of Porch, and then you've kind of got my opinion on Garden, because that is actually... You've opened my mind. Let's put it that way. You have opened my mind on Garden.
I think I might throw in, for anyone who hasn't chosen, the lyrics. The lyrics to this are amazing. Even the story behind it being written is a little bit fun, because apparently it was written with Chris Cornell in the room, actually.
Oh,
Really?
wow.
So
Whoa.
they were friends. But
No
so
way,
it was
it's
written
crazy.
written with Cornell there, and he started writing it after George W. Bush came on the telly talking about the Gulf War, and the song can be seen in many ways as representative of war, with one of the lines, a garden of stone, being representative of a cemetery. So it has that darker
Oh,
meaning
wow.
to it, but again, with that opening, the almost mystical feeling at the start, I don't know, it tells that story very, very, very well.
Yeah, it kind of lulls you in under a false sense of security. Now I know that.
This makes
And I
my
think
decision 10 times more harder.
Oh, I was hoping to make
Isn't
that easier.
subversion wonderful?
That's what was going to make my choice easier, so I'm going with Garden too.
Excellent.
I'm going against the grain, and I'm going with Godsmack. You've swayed me, I will admit. That very nearly made me change my tune to Garden, but I just can't go past it. It just Godsmacks you
That's 2 dirt songs now, Salme.
in a row. Yeah,
In a row.
better late than never.
Imran, where are we
You
going?
know, I freaking love Lounge Act, and I freaking love Garden. Like, they are my favorite tracks off of both of those albums. Like, in top 1, like, out of like 3, or they're the best. But that riff in Godsmack, I can't get past it. It's so cool, and the vocal delivery is amazing, and the chorus is so good. It's funky. It's got everything. It's got an amazing solo. It's got a freaking cool bridge. I think I'm gonna have to go with Godsmack, and it hurts. It hurts so much. Help.
That takes your Alice in Chains score to 6, Imran.
Yeah, it does.
Still yet to give a point to 10, but you got 3 for Nevermind. That's quite the slant, I must say. Quite a ratio. It's tricky for me. 10 and Nevermind.
It really hurts to not give a point to 10 yet.
Yeah. Okay. This is only in my personal opinion. This is probably the lowest point in all 3. Untitled versus Deep versus Stay Away.
Yeah, that's a fair call.
Untitled for me is out immediately, because it's just in my personal opinion,
I was gonna say
a bunch of nonsense.
Untitled's kind of like immediately out.
Yeah, it's a cheeky little nod to Black Sabbath, but it's 43 seconds. It's not really worthy of arguing, is it?
Yeah.
No.
That song is kind of an interlude track between the 2 songs.
It's also called Iron Gland, depending on certain pressings.
Yeah. I should add as well, I think Tom Araya has some vocals in that song.
Yes, he does. Slayer
does,
is on a grunge album. How about that?
Yeah. And I find that song to be like, not that it's my pick, but I really respect that song just because of the fact Tom Araya is on that song. And like that's the reason why I don't skip that song. And I must add as well, amongst all the pure nonsense of that song, there are some really interesting intervals for guitar and stuff. I think Jerry Cantrell, from the sounds of it, he's got an octave pedal on his guitar, and he seems to have set it to a tritone, which is like, according to the church, the devil's interval. So he's playing some notes which are, and each note is playing the devil's interlude. So according to my ears, of course, correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, it sounds real evil, real dark, and it's just a like kind of a nothing track, but it's super evil. It's
still
real
on
cool.
brand.
It really fits with the vibe of the album, and I love that track. But
all right,
I don't think that's the pick for me here.
I can give you my pick immediately right now. It's Stay Away, but not by much, because I don't really care too much for Deep or Stay Away. In fact, Stay Away is a bit strange. Monkey see, monkey do. Oh, that weird guitar thing. Not my favorite thing in the world, but if you have to give it a point, I'll just give it to that. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to say that now, immediately.
Interesting. I actually really like both these tracks. Like these two are kind of the most interesting tracks on the album because they're real different, and I feel like both bands are trying to do something different on the album, and you can kind of tell like the songs are not as strong because they've added them later into the album. But yeah, we're like with both these songs, like for example with Stay Away, I particularly like the call and response of the vocals and the guitar / vocals on Stay Away. And Deep, they've got like an odd time signature and a really odd chord progression. I could not pick it. I've never tried to learn how to play this song, to be honest. But I can't pick the chord, like what they're trying to do with the song. This is a very odd song.
Can I throw this idea out and see if anyone really agrees with me here? Because with Deep, I find it off-putting and maybe a weirder chord progression, at least put next to other Pearl Jam songs, because to me it feels like more of a classical rock tint to it. It has that almost like you'd find in a old Texas American bass type of thing.
Classic is the word I have in my notes, actually.
I get some like very, very country, like very country desert rock like to this song, but it's a very odd song. Like I feel like they've taken that country structure to it, they've given it an odd time signature, and they've given it a really odd chord progression. And it's just like I feel like to the traditional listener, it's just like it's the song that they're just like, nah, I'm just gonna skip that one. And don't get me wrong, it's a cool song, but like I still remember the first time I listened to this album, I was like, this is a really weird song. Like I don't get it. I don't know. Like I think my pick to this one is going to be Stay Away as well, purely because I think I particularly like Stay Away because like that's the one song of Nevermind that I think drags a bit too long, but that's a song that I will bop to. I really like that song. I'd sing along to that song, and that's kind of a standout track purely because it's like it's kind of drags a bit long, and I'm like, oh, this is that track. But it's also because it's got some interesting aspects to it, like the verse, for example. The call and response is really interesting to me.
So, mate, Jacob, where are your points lying?
I'm going to throw it to Deep. That's because, like, in my notes for Stay Away specifically, as much as I actually really enjoy the call and response, it is a little strange, but I like it. Outside of that, I found the song to be really boring, especially with the lyrics. And even in my notes, I think I've said that the vocals, I think, take away from what would otherwise be a very good instrumental piece. And Deep
the drums
is
are good.
Yeah, I think instrumentally, this is an amazing piece. Vocals, I think Cobain singing this one might actually take away from it. And Deep, it has that classic rock tint, and I'm a huge classic rock fan, so it catches me immediately. So I'm going with Deep.
So, mate.
Well, classic versus, in a way, a little bit childish. You could even describe the lyrics as, I think my immature streak is going to come in. Monkey say, monkey do.
Oh, wow.
There it is.
No. Yeah.
Stay Away it is, it sounds. Can confirm?
Can confirm.
Can confirm Stay Away to Salome.
Okay.
That brings her score for Nevermind up to 4, and that puts it in the lead. Now we're coming towards the business end. Hate to Feel versus Release versus On a Plane. I'll go first again. On a Plane for me.
Ooh.
Any reason?
One of the more catchier songs, one of the more pleasing vocal melodies, and a bopping riff to boot.
Do you know what I like about On a Plane?
What?
I like that at the time it would have been very, very small, but now in hindsight, it's very recognizable. We get some Dave Grohl lyrics in the little at the end. And it's nice to have a little bit of Dave Grohl before he was a Foo Fighter singing.
On a Plane was one of the first songs that I really recognized as one of the standout tracks off of Nevermind. After the first few listens of Nevermind, but it's one of those tracks that like no one ever really recognizes,
which is a shame. I think it's
like,
one of their best.
Yeah, I think it's I think it's a shame as well, because it's like personally for me, like I've got a playlist of just all of my favorite songs of all time. On a Plane was one of the first songs I ever put on that, because that's a song that's just stood out to me like forever. Even like after listening to it on the Unplugged as well, like the Nirvana MTV.
Also very good performance.
Like, of course, yeah. That's also one of my favorite performances of all time. I love that track. It's for some reason like like the chords of the song just work. The melody just works. Like the verse goes from like a major feel to a minor, and it just works. And the bridge is it flows beautifully. It's one of those tracks that's just like really like underrated. Not like I don't find many people talking about it, but at the same time, it's just like it feels like it's one of those tracks that everyone loves. But at the same time, it's like this is up against Release. Like for example, like Release is a great song. I love the fact that it's one of those songs that ironically goes with the title, like, and it just like it builds up to this like big chorus of like music. Like it's got big guitars, big drums. It starts off slow and it just like builds very nicely. I don't think that compares to songs against On a Plane and Hate to Feel. Hate to Feel as well is like one
Hate to
song
Feel sounds like you're outside Hell's Gate.
Yeah, it's I think that's another one of those songs that's kind of like Sick Man, where it's got those like two parts that's like really jarring against each other, and it just goes like I for some reason they just gel together, and especially the chorus of Hate to Feel. It's so like there's so much going on.
The whole
like there's like
whole dun 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 dun.
Yeah, there's like 3 guitar tracks over it. They're like it, and well, especially from like the verse of like what's going on, like really gentle to builds to what the hell gotta lay, and then goes to like the big chorus, and then builds up to like there's like 3 layers of like vocals and big guitar tracks and stuff, and it's just like it's frantic. And there's so much going on, and then suddenly it just goes back to that verse of just like, like it's really weird, but like it just works, and
it's almost exactly a direct ripoff of Led Zeppelin's "Dazed and Confused." That guitar work.
Really? Well, actually, you know what? Yeah, I'd give you that. Okay. That's a hot take, but I'll give you that. That's.
Jacob and Salome, where are your points going to lie?
Never thought about that.
Well, Release, it's very whimsical. I love that little Zeppelin influence and Hate to Feel, but I'm going to go for On a Plane.
As much as I like On a Plane, I think it's my second favorite here. Hate to Feel, it's good, doesn't really catch me. Release, I think the first half of it is phenomenal. One of the best tunes I've ever heard. My money goes to Release.
Imran?
Instinct makes me go to Hate to Feel. I'm just going to go with Instinct here.
Well, then, let's trust your instinct. Hate to Feel it is. good choice, especially when it opens up to the Hell's Gate. Now, to a point you made earlier in the podcast, Imran, when you said Dirt is one of the like dark and evil riffs. As Dirt progresses, I think it gets even more darker and evil as it goes along, and it crescendos at this one. Also, might I add, is that by this point, after release is done, 10 is over. Also, you think, because it's listed as a 9-minute song, but after a bit of science, a hidden track appears called Master/Slave. And that is going to go up against Angry Chair from Dirt and the supposed closing track for Nevermind, Something in the Way. Thoughts, crew?
I have to agree with you with Dirt and the evil sounding tracks, because Angry Chair is the most evil sounding in terms of like songs on that album. That I think lyrically is the most evil sounding song on the album.
I'm with you on that.
Those lyrics, like especially like, all right, let's just set the scene for a moment. You've got the drum intro for that song, like it's just a classic drum intro. You've got the guitar, like the
yeah.
You got the big like the guitar intro. It's building. It's got this nice thing, and then suddenly you've got this classic Alice in Chains layered vocals. You've got the root and the fifth. In terms of like, if I'm talking like music theory here, you've got the root note of the chord right there, and the fifth, and that's consistent through the whole verse and the chorus as well. Like through the whole song, as far as I recall, and those vocals, I still remember the first time I heard that song. That is the most evil sounding verse and chorus I have ever heard in my life. The delivery of those vocals, like just the grit and the depth and the fact that it's layered is just like that to me is the definition of evil. And I cannot think of any other song, like not even like compared to Black Sabbath, like that to me is a Black Sabbath sounding song, but that, like those vocals to me are like the evilest sounding things I've ever heard. Not even Satan could compare to that.
Can anyone else on this panel relate to that?
Very much so. I'm going to bring in a bit of a weird analogy here because it's a surfing analogy. We've already discussed Eddie Vedder and surfing, so its place in Alice in Chains might be a bit weird, but hear me out here. There's this evil-looking wave off the coast of Tasmania called Shipstern Bluff, and it's not shaped pretty like another wave. It's full of these chunky steps. And when I think of Angry Chair, I think of that wave just menacingly rising up above you with step, 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 and you don't know which bit is going to come and decapitate you. It is so cool, but so evil at the same time. And it actually kind of sounds like its title too, like an angry chair. Like someone's going to throw a chair at you or something.
I remember still, I remember the first time I read the title of this song, I was like, what the hell is an angry chair? Like, what, like, that doesn't make sense. Like,
oh, but it does.
Like a chair of all things, like, what the hell is a chair going to be angry about? Like, right? Like, and the first line of the song is sitting on an angry chair, angry walls that still the air. I was listening to the song and I was like, what the hell is this about? Like, what? This song doesn't make sense, but it's so evil. And for some reason, it delivers that evilness that makes it believable. And I was just sitting there being like, why? Like, this song sounds so evil and scary, but the song doesn't make sense.
Can I offer you a theory as to why I think it could be this evil?
Yeah.
Not only Angry Chair, but also Hate to Feel. They're the two songs that are solely credited to Lane, and he also played guitar on those tracks. So maybe could that be a reason?
Yeah. I was going to mention Lane is I think he wrote Angry Chair, like not solely, but like he wrote the song. And
if you look at the credits, he's the sole member of the band who got credits. Moving swiftly on to the Pearl Jam hidden track, Jake, could you just lead us in on what you think of that?
Honestly, I don't know what to feel of it. I think I feel like this is just an interlude that got lost, to be honest. I don't really think of it as a song. Okay. It's there. doesn't really mean all that much to me. I think it's all right. I don't think it stands up anywhere near against these two. And unless anyone else has another point here, I can't even see this being in the conversation.
I'll make another point, but I won't make the point in as a way to sway anyone, because I don't really rate it against the two opposing tracks either. But you could make the comparison that because of its similar sounding, like it sounds very similar to the intro part of Once, which is the first track on the album, which you can kind of make the comparison to Pink Floyd's The Wall. You know, the final song of The Wall is Outside the Wall. And just before the album cuts off, you hear a person go, "Is this where?" Then the album cuts off. If you go back to the beginning of first song, track 1 of The Wall, before In the Flesh begins, you hear the phrase, "He came in," which kind of hints at a cyclical nature of the thing. So that could be a little bit, maybe that's kind of the intent behind Master Slave, and it has that cyclical nature going into Once. Once again, it's just a bit more of an atmospheric thing, so I'm not really ranking it that highly, but that's just the thought.
I
feel like that song is I feel like that song is just a hidden track purely just for them to jam out to a psychedelic tribal kind of track.
I like that it finishes it off like a nice round cap, but yeah, not really worth discussing in the terms of the debate.
Okay. So thus it's between
against
Angry
these two
Chair.
songs, yeah.
So thus it's in between Angry Chair and Something in the Way. And we haven't talked about Something in the Way yet. And that's considered a favourite amongst like the diehard Nirvana fans.
It's personally for me, it's a great track. There's I've got nothing against it, but I don't think it compares to Angry Chair. I think Angry Chair is like such an atmospheric evil song that I don't think anything on the Nirvana album or the Pearl Jam album can get in the way of that song. It's one of those songs that's just like, if you're gonna rate Alice in Chains like sound, I don't think there's anything that can get in the way of that song compared to Pearl Jam or Nirvana. There's like Alice in Angry Chair is just that's like the perfect it's got the riff, it's got the vocals, it's got the catchy chorus, it's got a cool bridge, it's got a freaking sick solo. There's nothing about it for me that this is uncomparable to anything on Nirvana or Pearl Jam's album.
I gather that Angry Chair is your favourite song off Dirt.
Correct.
It's definitely in my top 3. And I think, you know what, Imran? I've had telepathic moments with Jacob. I've had one with Saleh. I think I'm having one with you here. I think we might be both sharing a point to Angry Chair.
I don't know. It's one of those songs that there are technically quotation marks, quote unquote, there are better songs on Dirt, but Angry Chair just seems to hit as a Alice in Chains song. That just seems to be the Alice in Chains song. And if you're thinking off of just only this album, Angry Chair is the Alice in Chains song. There's no other song on this album that I think could compare.
Righto. Saleh, Jacob?
I mean, don't get me wrong, I like Angry Chair. Something in the Way is such a tonal change to almost the entirety of Nevermind that it stands out really heavily for me. It's softer, much more softer vocals. I've even put in my notes that it almost sounds like crying.
Wow.
And it almost has a creepy, kind of psychedelic Pink Floyd-esque sound to it. And I don't have too much on the notes for this one, but I remember when listening to it, because I listened to these in order, I went from Angry Chair to this, and Angry Chair, I thought, okay, cool, this is just, it's a really good Dirt song. But Something in the Way, to me, sounds like a very standout Nirvana song, one that I believe needs to be played more often everywhere. And I definitely see why it's a favorite with diehard fans, because it's one of my favorites.
Excellent. So I'm guessing that's where your point's going, isn't it, Jacob?
Correct.
Boom. Done. It's marked. It's in history.
Oh,
Jacob, not really. The opinions can change.
Have we got any songs together tonight? Have we agreed on anything? Or
I don't know. We'll have to go through it after, won't we?
We'll go through it after the show. Yeah, so, Imran, your point went to Angry Chair, I presume.
Yeah.
So that leaves one person.
Yes. Well, this was a lot a lot more difficult decision than I thought it would be, like on paper, because something in the way people. The one criticism I do hear of Nirvana is people say, "Oh, Kurt can't sing," which I think that this shows he's got that vulnerability to his voice, and it's very, very beautiful. It's very much on the one track, but like not as in the one song, but just the one note for the whole song. But it really, really works for him. It works for the song, and I absolutely understand the song's cult following for really loyal fans, because I think what loyal fans do respect in artists they love is when they're not afraid to go and do something different, which is what Something in the Way was. Even in the way that Polly was stripped back, Something in the Way was stripped back in a different sort of way. However, like I find myself wanting to give Something in the Way the point, but like something in my head it's just pulling me back to Angry Chair. So
Angry Chair it is, it sounds like.
Lock it in before I change my mind.
Okay.
It's got that pull to it. It's an angry chair, man. Don't fight against that chair.
So today, at the time of recording, Salme is choosing Angry Chair over Something in the Way, but it could very much change by the time this is uploaded online for the world to see.
Very true.
Very true. And finally, the final track, which interestingly enough, Something in the Way should be the final track for Nevermind, but that has also been listed as a 20-minute track because there's 10 minutes of silence, and then you hear the hidden track Endless Nameless, whereas Alice in Chains wraps up with one of their all-time classics, Wood.
I got to start here with the fact that Endless Nameless has some of the best instrumental work from each member of Nirvana. Like straight up, like I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. There's some of the greatest drumming, bass work, and guitar work from each member of Nirvana. But that's just a jam track. That's a nonsense, like, go for your life, do whatever you want track. Wood ? Is one of my favorite songs of all time, to the point where I covered it with my band, as I mentioned earlier. And that is that is an amazingly structured, just perfectly put song.
Speak for itself.
Yeah, that's I cannot put that song into words. It is perfect. That song is I want to give that song like 3 points, like 10 points, 10, 20, 50.
Well,
I don't know.
We can officially give it 1 if you like.
I'd like that. Just as long as it wins.
Let's give it 1. 1's enough.
Let's give it 1 point.
Just the 1. That's all it needs. So, I mean, Jacob, I'm also going to give Wood the rub here on the Great Metal Standoff as the final track. It speaks for itself. Bass leads you in. It pulls you in. And then it explodes. Great closer, my opinion. What do you say?
The bass actually reminds me a bit of Sliver by Nirvana. Just a little bit. Just a little.
Sliver or Silver?
Sliver.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's the one track that, it sounds like Silver, but it's not. It's Sliver.
Okay. Yeah. You learn something new every day.
There you go.
Yeah, Endless Nameless. I like hidden tracks if I'm sitting and listening to an album. However, I think the argument for me is, would I go and listen to it just on its own for the sake of it? No, I'd have to be listening to the whole album, whereas Wood is a song, you will go and listen to it just for the sake of listening to Wood. So that's what gets it over the line, obviously. It's very cool bass. It's very just good, honest, gritty Alice in Chains. It's a perfect closer. However, I think it could sit anywhere on that album and still fit.
That song is one of the inspirations for the name of my band.
Ooh. That's cool.
Into the Flood Again.
With a cheap plug into your band there, Jim, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, Into the Flood Again. Yeah. Jacob, let's bring it home. What are you thinking?
It has to be Wood, doesn't it? I mean, as much as Imran's right, Endless Name does have some of the nicest and more technical sounds you get out of just a jam. It is literally that. There's no vocals to it. In my notes, I've got no vocals. Don't like it at all. It's just noises to me. It makes me feel somewhat uncomfortable.
You don't like it?
And no. For the most part, no. I think it is literally just people jamming, and it feels almost incoherent.
You know, the thing is, like, I love that track for the fact that they've just put a jam track at the end of the album, especially for
Oh,
an album as commercially successful as Nevermind.
yeah,
I
I
love
love
the
the
fact
fact
that
it's
they've just
there.
put a yeah,
It's just
but
I don't
yeah,
know
like
if I would.
like yeah, look for example, like in this instance, of course we're gonna go for a track that's like for a track
A
It's an
track.
actual
against like
song.
Yeah.
yeah, it's an actual song, but I don't think you should discredit this song as
Oh, I'm
a
not.
as a song. Of course, yeah, it's like
As I said,
it's a fantastic song. It's I legitimately out of that entire album, I think that is the best example of each member's entire like talent.
range of talent. Yeah, as I
Yeah,
said, technically it's an amazing piece, but when you're
yeah,
listening to it as a fan, it's very much just like, oh, this is garbled noise.
yeah.
Wood is better.
Like yeah, you think for a diehard Nirvana fan, Endless Nameless would be so much better than Wood. But Wood for the casual fan is the greatest song of all time, and you could not like there are not many songs that could go up against Wood,
Oh, without
especially
a
like
doubt.
yeah. Even like I like personally for me, there are lots of songs off of Nevermind that could go up against Wood that would win. But
Mm.
like Endless Nameless, like for that, like just a jam track to go up against
It's a
would
bit unfair,
like
isn't
would
it?
definitely yeah
Yeah,
yeah
it's
exactly yeah just because
The
that's
way
just a
the
fucking
cookie crumbles.
a jam track yeah
and plus I think wood for me would fit anywhere in this whole system of choosing the best. Simply put, the key to this song is very much the beat and the drums, which are phenomenal.
exactly
It's got
yeah
this creepy feel to it. I love the vocals in it. The solo is one of my favorites, and I love how the vocals fit in with the melody. It's something that stands out a lot more in this one than it does any other Alice in Chains song for me, anyway. And
I think
this
the best
could be the
yeah the
best on
best
the
part of the
album.
song yeah I think the best part of the song is the like the outro, which is where like the key changes and the he like the chords suddenly like switch to a like nicer resolving melody, which is am I wrong, like that part where the chords like switch to a like it just completely changes key, and you got this nice chord progression that suddenly switches to it changes like really weirdly, but
Oh
it
yeah,
just fits really nicely.
I think I think
And
this song is the perfect send off to it.
yeah, it's like there's no other track off of Dirt that would end like would no pun intended. Yeah, but yeah, like and especially the ending, like that ending where it's like if I could you yeah that straight up I'm gonna say this straight up right now. You can at me. That is the greatest ending to any song I've ever heard, like
As
ever in my
opposed to the
entire
12
life.
previous tracks before this.
In my entire life, in like right there, like just those 5 like hits right there. That is the greatest ending and outro to any song I've ever heard. And you can at me at that.
You've heard it
You
here,
can
listeners. At
reference my
Imran
name.
on
I
that
just
one.
do whatever you want with that. That is the greatest ending.
Well, to end on that, all 4 of us have agreed on something for once. All 4 of us went Wood. I would say it's a bit more of a no contest. And that's it, everyone. We've gone through 3 of the pillars of grunge. Congratulations, everyone. You've all put up
Oh,
very passionate arguments for all 3 of these albums. Let's finally run through the results and see which albums are getting the grand points and determine a winner.
38 songs.
Now, Jacob, last time you were on this podcast, we did end up having a draw. So let's hope we don't have that happen again.
I don't think we're going to have it this time, but
That's very
Okay.
on brand. Very on brand.
I'll start with myself, the final scores. Now, the first score I will read out will be Dirt. The second one will be 10. And the third one will be Nevermind, okay? We all got that clear?
yep.
Okay, for myself, 3 to Dirt, 4 to 10, 6 for Nevermind. Okay.
Understandable. Yeah.
We'll go to Imran. 8 for Dirt, 0 for 10, 4 for Nevermind. That's a clear win for Alice in Chains there. Jacob,
Yeah.
4 for Dirt, 7 for 10, 2 for Nevermind. That's a win for 10. So it's 1 plays 1 in the grand point game. So Salome, where did your allegiance lie? Dirt with 4, 10 with 3, and Nevermind with 5. So we have found a winner.
Oof.
Somehow, I don't know what the reaction or blowback's going to be, but the Mosh Pit on Sin team have decided that Nevermind is the winner. And I don't know how to react, because who knows how much of our opinions will change in the future.
Like, if
I
you
mean,
told
that's-
me at the beginning to
that's the
predict
punk
one,
hour
I
right
would have
there.
picked it. Like, if you'd asked me to predict, I would have thought Nevermind, but I wouldn't have felt comfortable saying it at the same time. They are 3 amazing albums. You know, they've all been successful for very different reasons. But you know, at the end of the day, I think I said it earlier in this podcast, and I'll say it again. If you ask someone grunge, 3 words that'll come back at you are Nirvana, Nevermind, Smells Like Teen Spirit. So I guess we've backed that up a bit.
There you have it.
I'm a little surprised, to be honest. I felt like the entire way through we were leaning a little bit more towards Alice in Chains and Pearl Jam, but it looks like closer to the end we might have started to switch to Nevermind on some of the weaker albums from both Alice in Chains and Pearl Jam.
It's almost as if on Nevermind, the ultra famous iconic songs were just too strong in the end.
Yeah, maybe.
It's one of those albums.
Imran,
It's
take us out with your closing thoughts. You've been the most passionate out of all 4 of us, so I'll let you end this conversation. What are your final thoughts?
look, I think I'm gonna stand by my choice against Alice in Chains' Dirt, because I like, to me that resonates. That's the album that sticks with me the most. But these 3 albums are just 3 of the most fantastic albums of all time. I've like these albums I'm gonna replay for eons to come. So for Nevermind to win, I don't mind. That's an iconic album. That's an album that's gonna last throughout the ages.
Definitely.
Oh, well, whatever. Never mind.
There you go.
Honorific. I'm glad you said that we'll be listening to all 3. Certainly, we're all going to continue to listen to these iconic albums. We've had a lot of laughs and we've learned a lot. Thanks for analysing this with everybody.
Been a pleasure.
Thanks for having me.
Of course, always an honor.
And that, my friends, was that. As of today, at the time of recording, we at Mosh Pit on Sin believe that the winner out of the first 3-way battle on the Great Metal Standoff is Nirvana, Nevermind. Who knows how much of our opinions will change in the days or even weeks ahead. Also, just to follow up Jacob's question as to how many songs he and Imran both gave points to other than Wood, the answer to that is Down in a Hole and Junkhead. This has been the first 3-way battle and the first battle of Grunge Month here on the Great Metal Standoff. Join us next time where we will put a Soundgarden album into the arena. Be the first to know when that episode drops by going to facebook.com/Metal Standoff Pod or facebook.com/Mosh Pit on Sin. That's all for now. Until then, metal up your ass!